What do the release of this documentary and the Invictus Games themselves, what do they mean to Prince Harry?
Well, the Invictus Games, well, is Prince Harry's baby. This is a deeply personal project for him. And I think the importance has been highlighted.
Is Prince Harry's post-royal legacy crumbling in real time? That's the question on everyone's lips after a bombshell confrontation erupted between Harry and Invictus Games CEO Scott Moore. A clash so heated, insiders say it sent shockwaves through the entire organization. During a high-stakes virtual planning meeting for the 2027 Invictus Games,
Meaning for the Heart of Invictus documentary at a cinema in Chula Vista in San Diego in California. Audiences had no idea that he was going to be there. He got up on stage and introduced the documentary.
Harry reportedly stormed in expecting royal treatment, demanding VIP security, private entrances, and full patron recognition. But instead of the deference he anticipated, he was met with a boardroom of professionals who had finally reached their breaking point.
With those in the crowd, he spoke to them all. We understand he'd also wanted to meet veterans while he was in San Diego. And I think for Prince Harry, this is a chance for him to shine a spotlight on the work of Invictus.
Moore's response was swift and icy. "You're not the patron. You're welcome to attend, but the games no longer operate under your shadow." In that moment, the illusion of unity shattered, and the future of Harry's most cherished project was thrown into chaos. For Prince Harry, the Invictus Games have always been more than just a charity. They're his personal legacy, the project he's clung to as proof of his relevance beyond the royal family.
And influenced by his own service in Afghanistan and having seen the life-changing injuries that so many of his colleagues had received, he decided he was going to do it and he was going to turn it around in a year.
But as the virtual meeting unfolded, it became clear that the board was no longer willing to indulge his demands. Harry insisted on military-grade security, exclusive access, and the kind of deference reserved for royalty, arguing that as founder and former patron, he was entitled to special treatment. Yet the board stood firm, reminding him that those days were over. The message was unmistakable. The Invictus Games had outgrown their royal roots, and Harry's attempts to control the narrative were no longer welcome. For the first time, he found himself on the outside looking in, his influence slipping away as the organization he once defined began to move forward without him.
Is Harry and Meghan, because they seem to be designed for each other to blight the rest of the world. And yet, after everything that they've done, it seems to me there being a chit-chat going on between their representatives and the representatives of the palace sitting there. What are they discussing, do you reckon?
I think that they're discussing, we're broke, we're miserable, we've made a mistake.
The fallout from Harry's outburst was immediate and impossible to contain. Word of the confrontation spread quickly, with stunned board members and stakeholders leaking details to the press. Insiders described the prince's reaction as a verbal meltdown, with Harry lashing out at the board for undermining his legacy and even hinting at possible legal action.
Without any of those blatantly being said, Meghan has basically become one of those people you turn on the TV at midnight and they're trying to sell you a cozy pair of slippers and a robe. This was a woman that was a duchess. She got to she would walk into a school and children would run.
The incident didn't just expose deep fractures within the Invictus organization. It ignited a public scandal, with headlines questioning whether Harry's need for control had finally gone too far. As the story gained traction, sponsors and supporters began to voice their own concerns, worried that the games were being overshadowed by royal drama rather than celebrated for their mission. What was once a private dispute had now become a full-blown crisis, threatening to tarnish both Harry's reputation and the future of the Invictus Games.
And throw their arms around her. She was a leader. She was, I think she was a respectful person, and then she decided to give it all away to sell loose fruit spread and alcohol. And I think that there are some serious regrets. I think that they realized not only is this...
For years, Harry has relied on the Invictus Games to anchor his public identity, especially after stepping back from royal duties. The games have featured prominently in his Netflix documentaries and public speeches, serving as a symbol of his commitment to veterans and his ability to make a difference outside the palace walls. But now, with the board moving decisively to distance itself from his influence, that carefully crafted legacy is under threat.
hustle never ending, having to come up with new products, having to churn out all of these ideas, having to find people you can rely on in case you do sell out of loose fruit spread, let's pretend. I think that they realize that that's going to be harder, having themselves been branding themselves the villains, going after this
The very event that once showcased Harry's leadership and compassion is now at risk of being remembered for controversy and division. As the Invictus Games press page quietly removes his name and organizers scramble to reassure sponsors, it's clear that Harry's grip on his post-royal narrative is slipping, and the one project he could truly call his own may be slipping away with it.
Institution that is so loved all over the world.
Why can't they just live within their means? I mean, he comes with a sizable inheritance. They must have made a bob or two already by Archwell Foundation's useless podcast or whatever it is, and the Netflix series which nobody really watched apart from when they're calling everyone a racist. So they must have a few sort of, dollars in the bank. Can't they just go, well, that's...
The drama hasn't just put Harry in the spotlight. Meghan Markle's involvement is now under scrutiny as well. She was expected to attend and possibly speak at a pre-game gala, but after Harry's explosive clash with Scott Moore, her appearance is suddenly in doubt.
We'll just have a quiet life and bring up our kids and feed some chickens and pretend we know what to do with a beehive.
I think that Meghan is a very materialistic person. I think Prince Harry could figure it out. I think that he could wear the same suit over and over again and doesn't need all. I mean, Meghan, when we see Meghan Markle today, she's wearing...
Organizers worry that Meghan's presence could further distract from the athletes and reignite tensions among stakeholders already wary of the Sussex brand. Behind the scenes, sponsors are voicing concerns that the focus is shifting away from the veterans and their stories and toward media spectacle and celebrity drama.
Expensive clothes. They've got 2 small children that she is taking around town, taking to school in Montecito, California. She's got to keep up with the Joneses. She has to keep up with these other very wealthy, high-profile individuals and their families. So I think it's mostly driven monetarily by Meghan.
With the Invictus Games just months away, the organizing team is left questioning whether the continued association with Harry and Meghan is worth the risk, as the charity's mission threatens to be overshadowed by controversy. As the dust settles, the stakes for the Invictus Games have never been higher. Financial backers are quietly reconsidering their support, alarmed by the growing perception that the event is becoming a stage for royal drama rather than a celebration of resilience and service.
It's also about that ego, isn't it? The narcissism. She needs a mug on the front pages of magazines. She needs to be receiving these fake awards and have people fawning over her and doing the hand holding and putting her hand on her husband's chest and beaming up at him like they've only just met and they're still in love.
Well, she says they still get butterflies. She says they still get butterflies. She said they're in their honeymoon period because when she was a working member of the British royal family, she just said...
Board members are determined to put the mission first, insisting that the games belong to the veterans, not to any one individual's ego or personal brand. Internal meetings have shifted from planning logistics to crisis management, with legal teams bracing for potential lawsuits and PR disasters. The once unbreakable bond between Harry and Invictus is now a source of tension and uncertainty.
This to Jamie Kern-Lima. When she was a member of the British royal family, they were in the trenches. It's hard to be a princess, but she says that right now they're in their honeymoon phase. Literally, a week later, Harry goes on the BBC and looks like he's in the middle of a mental breakdown. He's so upset that he's just lost this UK court case, fighting for security. He's lost...
And the future of the Games hangs in the balance as organizers work around the clock to protect the charity's reputation and ensure its survival. Now, as the Invictus Games organization quietly updates its press materials and insiders leak talk of closing the chapter on Harry's involvement, it's clear that a decisive break is underway. What began as a passionate legacy project has spiraled into a public unraveling, with Harry's aggressive confrontation no longer just a private embarrassment, but a charity-wide crisis. Board members are openly questioning how much longer they can accommodate a man who no longer holds an official role, but continues to make royal-sized demands. For Harry, this isn't just a professional setback, it's a personal reckoning. As the world watches the fallout, one question lingers. Can Prince Harry recover from this? Or has he finally lost the one legacy he could truly call his own?